that said that she had filed to get me removed from the house and start paying her alimony and child support. So what do you expect me to do? She said, that's your problem. And she was smiling and laughing about it, and I lost it. So
What happened?
I just stabbed her in the throat. Called my mom. I told my mom, I said, I'm in trouble.
Was this after you had already wrapped her up and put her in the car?
Yes.
Okay.
I said, Mom, I'm in trouble. She's like, what's going on? And I said, I just killed my wife and my mom. She said, the reason I want to get a divorce was I did something that I can't live with. She said, I've been having an affair with him for 5 to 7 years.
For over 20 years, they built a life together, a marriage, a family, a routine. But behind the walls of that home, things were falling apart. They hadn't shared a bed in years. She was distant, cold. He worked long hours to keep things together, while she stayed home and drifted away. Then he found the messages, not just one, dozens, flirty, secretive, and not just with one man. He sat down across from detectives in a quiet interrogation room. No lawyer, no hesitation. He didn't just admit what happened, he detailed it, step by step, minute by minute. What drives a man to that place? Is it betrayal? Is it rage? Or was something darker always waiting under the surface? This is the story of a marriage built on silence, of a betrayal that spiraled into obsession, and a confession that changed everything.
Okay. Now, from what I've been told, y'all were married for what, 20 years?
Years.
You have a son, 10 years old.
9. Turns 10 next month.
What is it?
He's 9. He turns 10 next month.
10 next month? All right, let's just kind of start at the beginning, and so we won't be going back and forth. Y'all been married for a long time,
Yes, sir.
and you were working 6 days a week down in Gainesville, traveling to. What time would you usually leave in the morning?
I leave at about 6:45 in the morning.
Is that like your routine? We all have our routines. You're out the door at 6:45.
6:45, and I will get to work right at 8:45 because of the morning rush to get through downtown Jacksonville.
You stayed at work. You were at work from like 9 or 8:45 till what time?
Well, most of the days, if I got to work at 8:45, I get off by 6, maybe 7, depending on how much traffic we had.
Mm-hmm.
Or some days I would go in at noon and get off at 8.
Mm-hmm.
So, by me going at noon, I still had to leave the house by 10 o'clock to get there on time.
Okay. And then if you got off at 8, you wouldn't get home till what?
9:30.
9:30, 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
That's a long day.
Yeah.
That is a long day. So,
Been doing it for 20 years.
yeah, we become workaholics.
But I mean, I never went out. I go from work to home because my family was my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I never, every time guys at work try to get me to go, I'm like, no, I'm going home. So,
When did things start to change?
well, I noticed it about 4 years ago.
What did you notice?
Her being distant from me. She used to sit beside me on the couch and lay in between my legs while we watched TV, and she stopped doing that. We have what's called a chair and a half. She'd start sitting up in a chair and a half, and I was always on her cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think one day she went to use the bathroom in the master bedroom, and I walked in and opened the door real quick, and she was on her phone like she was texting someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what are you doing? And she was like, well, I'm playing a game. And she tried to show me the screen it was a game, but she was actually texting someone through her game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she fell asleep that night. I went over to her side of the bed and I picked the phone up and I started looking through the phone, and that's when I noticed that she had been texting a bunch of different guys.
Mm-hmm.
And through Facebook, through all the video games she was playing. And then
So it was more than one?
it was more than one.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably 10 different guys. And then I I went online real quick and I bought a computer program that will kind of allow you to decipher text messages and stuff that were on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I downloaded her phone to it so I can see all the old text messages and everything. That's when I found out that when she would go out of town down to her dad's house,
Mm-hmm.
she would get them to watch my son while she went out and met guys. And she was also doing it in Jacksonville while I was at work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She'd get her mom to watch Jacob, or he would be at school, and she would be going out and dating these guys and talking to all these different guys, and I confronted her about it. And then she admitted, and she's like, she had never done anything. She's never slept with anyone. They were just friends, all the ring in a row. And I felt guilty because I thought it was me because of all the time I was spending at work.
Mm-hmm.
She was a stay-at-home mom, and she was like, and then I thought we'd kind of patch things up then, saying, hey, let's put the past in the past, let's start over, because we had just started going to church also. Let's put things together, let's go back to where things used to be.
Yeah.
So we seek counseling, and she just was shut off at counseling. And even the counselor was like, you're just done. And she wouldn't even say anything, and then she went to another counselor. The counselor said the same thing. It's like, she's just done. She don't even want to participate. So I talked.
When was that?
This was a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to my neighbor. They were going to a church, and Father Anthony and his wife, they're real good counselors, and his wife's a marriage counselor also. So they set it up for us to go meet with them one day after church, and we did. And Jennifer, Father Anthony's wife, said, all right, let me hear it. And then we started talking, and Jennifer looked at me and she said, what's your schedule like at work? I told her what my schedule was. And then my wife kept trying to bring up my schedule, and Jennifer told her, stop, I don't want to hear nothing else about his schedule, because he had plenty of time at home with you if you would have made time for him.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a schedule. It was something else.
Mm-hmm.
You kept planning stuff without him when you knew he was going to be home. She didn't like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then she really, we kept going to church, and then all of a sudden she stopped going to church. She wouldn't even go back to church anymore. I found the church at home. Every Sunday that I was off, I'd go.
Mm-hmm.
I even wanted to participate during the week because it had different events going on at different people's houses, like Bible study.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard because of me working so far.
Yeah.
So, and I had Tuesdays off, and there was not much going on Tuesdays. So what I tried to do was I rearranged my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
and left the finance department and went to the sales desk because the finance department was putting so much stress on me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't handle it anymore. And the doctor told me that you're going to stroke it. Because I went in to get a vasectomy. She told me that she didn't want to have any more kids, and it's easier if you get a vasectomy. And I was like, okay. So I went in and had a vasectomy consult, and I almost stroked out right there. And then they immediately put me in the hospital right there, emergency room, to get my blood pressure down.
When was that?
That was about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I've been controlling it, and I lost about 30 pounds. So I was at 250. I never weighed that much.
Yeah.
I got back down to 220, and I maintained my weight under 220. And blood pressure got back down to normal, and I've been trying to live a healthy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And then just things still didn't seem right with her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, up until a year and a half ago, she just went out with a friend of hers named Beth. And I was like, why are you going out with this girl? She said, you can't tell me who I can go out with. I said, this girl, only thing she wants to do is go out and cheat on her husband. Why would you want to hang out with someone like that? She distanced herself from all of her married friends and just started hanging out with all her single friends. So, and she knew I didn't like it. She'd stay out till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, how's that for a married person to stay out? You shouldn't be out in a club that late. I mean, you guys, if you're going to go out, you go out at 8 and be home by a respectable time, 10, 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You're married. I don't go out. And she didn't want to hear it. So, and then things kept going on. Now she's sleeping in one of the guest bedroom. I'm sleeping in the master bedroom by myself.
How long did that go on?
For a year and a half. Even her parents.
Was that her idea?
Her idea. Her idea. Her parents told her, if you don't want to be married, you need to let him know and don't string him along. Because both her parents, her real father and her stepmom loved me to death.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother loved me to death because they knew,
How about the stepfather?
her stepfather loved me to death. He's probably not going to love me now after this, but he loved me to death. And I mean, he said, even though you guys get a divorce, he told me, I told him I wanted to leave Jacksonville if I get a divorce, and he said, well, you're welcome to move in with us until you get a place on your own, because that's one of the places I wanted to move to was down there in Venice, Florida.
Is that where they were at?
That's where he lives.
Oh, that's the father?
That's the real father.
The real father.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Call.
William
Call.
Okay.
And Brenda Call. So, I mean, and he still has questions about if Julie's his daughter also.
Mm-hmm.
He don't know for sure. He never took a blood test or a DNA test, because that's the reason him and Julie's mom got divorced, because she cheated on him with a guy named Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce is one of the stepfathers. Julie idolizes this guy, and he's a womanizer, and she just idolizes this guy for some reason. And she looks exactly like him too.
Really?
I mean, if you looked at a picture of him, you'd be like, yeah, that's his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Bill and her, no, that's not his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill never questioned it. He just, wanted to build a strong relationship with her. And then when we had Jacob, they moved from the Illinois area down to here so they can be closer and at least see Jacob a lot. But, I mean, a lot of the stuff going on behind my back was when I was at work. And I found out one of her passwords, about two and a half years ago, I found out her iTunes password. And I can see, on iTunes, you can easily find my iPhone, you can see where someone's at. And I was at work one day, and I see her parked in front of someone's house.
You can visualize exactly where they're at?
I knew exactly. You can see on a map exactly where.
Like on Google Earth?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see exactly where the car is at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at it, and I called her. I said, hey, where you at? And she's lying to me the whole time. Oh, I'm up at the school talking to Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time I'm looking at this map. And I'm just snapping, taking photos of where the car is at. So I told my boss I got to go home. I got to go handle something. Something's not right.
Yeah.
So I went home, and she had picked Jacob up from school by that time. And I said, come on, let's talk. I said, where were you at earlier? And she said, I was at the school with Sarah. I said, really, what is this then? Whose house were you at? And then she tried to say, well, that was a vacant house because of what's going on with us. I'm looking for other place to stay in case we get a divorce. So, yes, there was a vacant house beside that house, but that was also the guy she was having an affair with for the past 7 years.
Do you know who he is?
I know his name. His name is John something. If you look in my photos, you'll see his name, his house,
Mm-hmm.
and his business. He owns some kind of barbershop down in Mayport.
He's a barbershop in Mayport?
He owns a barbershop in Mayport.
Okay.
So, yeah, for the last 4 years,
How long have you known about him?
I found out about him 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was in the shower and I was getting out of the shower and she was going through my phone. I was like, why are you going through my phone? And she was like, well, sit down, let me tell you something. She said, well, I met this guy at the gym, and she gave me some wacko story. I met this guy at the gym. His girlfriend found out that he'd been talking to me and she's trying to call you. That was the story she gave me. And I believed it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, meet a guy at the gym. You keep asking her out, but something back in my mind didn't feel right either, because I'm thinking why did she give this guy her number?
Yeah.
So I let it go. She didn't say anything for the next couple of years about it. And then about 2.5 months ago, I asked her, I said, Julie, what are we doing? Are you divorcing me, or are we going to put this back together? What are we doing? I need to know, because I'm going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, I'll give you an answer by the end of the week. And then I think Thursday came. She came over with Pete. I called her and said, where are you at? And she said, I'm at my mom's house. She said, we'll be home in a second. Speaking of her and Jacob. I said, okay. Well, her and her stepfather showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, what's going on? Where's Jacob? He said, he's at my mom. He's going to stay there tonight. And that's when Pete said, Gerard, the marriage is over. you're going to get served tomorrow.
How long ago was this?
That was May, I think it was April 4th when it happened.
Okay.
I think it was that Thursday, it was around Thursday, April 4th, something like that, when I got served.
And you got served the next day?
Yeah, served the very next day. So this is something she had been planning because the file I got was this thick.
Oh, yeah.
From the court.
Yeah.
I had all my financial stuff for the past 3 years. I was like, really, you've been planning this? And then she said, let's meet for lunch because she didn't want to talk that night. Pete said, y'all don't want to talk tonight. Y'all can talk tomorrow. I said, all right. We met for lunch. And then we started talking. I begged her not to do this, not to break our family up.
Mm-hmm.
And she just kept saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I feel cold in my heart. And I asked her, I said, how long have you been planning this? I said, because this didn't just happen because you gave them so much paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
It's, and I said, besides, where did you get the money to get a lawyer? And I said, your mom gave you money? She said, no. She said, I took it out of my son's bank account. So I said, okay. I said, why don't you steal $5,000 out of your son's bank account?
Out of Jacob's account?
Yeah. But I don't think she stole the money out of this account. I think her mom gave her the money or the dude she was seeing gave her the money.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I couldn't prove where the money came from. So, even when I got served every day, I was begging her not to divorce. Let's think about Jacob, because Jacob has issues, a lot of issues. I said, let's think about him. I know whatever's happened in the past, we can work on our marriage.
Yeah.
And I begged her every single day. And then this past, Friday, she said, I'm going to walk the dog. Can you take Jacob to school? I'm like, yeah, I'll take Jacob to school. Because she had dog walks. I'm going to take Jacob to school. Jacob asked where his mom was. I said, she's walking the dog. And then I said, I'm going to take her to school. I took him to school, dropped him off. She came home. I was at home. And then I said, we need to talk. She said, I don't want to talk about nothing right now. I said, no, we need to talk. And what I did was, I asked her who two females were. She said she didn't know the first one, and then she hesitated on the second one. She's like, why? I said, because that person texted me saying, I want to talk to you about John and your wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when she looked at me and started smiling, and I was like, what? She said, well, that's John's fiance or old fiance, or something like that. I said, okay. And I said, why would she be wanting to talk to me about you two? And that's when she said, look, she said, the reason I want to get a divorce was I did something that I can't live with. She said, I've been having an affair with him for 5 to 7 years. And so I said, you telling me you've been sleeping with another guy this long? And she said, yeah. I said, Julie, we can work through this. And she kept saying, no, we can't. We're not going to work through it. She said, my mind ain't going to let me work through it because you won't forget it and I won't forget it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still trying to patch it up with her. And then she said, in the email that you got from your lawyer, it's true. I'm going to put you out of the house and I'm going to take Jacob from you and I'm going to take half everything you have. And that's when I lost it.
She told you all this?
Yeah.
At that time?
Yeah.
And this was what day was it?
That was Friday morning.
The day that all this happened? Okay. What time in the morning, you think?
I dropped Jacob off at 8, so I think around 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Okay. Where were we all in the house?
In the bedroom she sleeps in.
All right. When you walk in the front door, dining room, formal living room, straight ahead is the family room, bedroom. There's a bedroom on this end, and then there's Jacob's room, and then an upstairs room.
Yeah.
Which end of the house?
Bedroom.
If I'm walking in the house, am I going to go right or go left?
You got to go to the left.
Okay, left, and that's beyond the kitchen and the.
Yes. You got to go past the kitchen and family room, and then go into the hallway and around the corner.
Right around to the right. Okay, so y'all are inside there.
Yeah.
And she dumps all this on you at once.
Yeah.
Now, you had already suspected, or you already knew about John?
Well, I didn't know that she was seeing the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And she just said something about, they were friends. And that was 2 years ago, and I haven't heard anything about it since.
Mm-hmm.
So
before Friday, you didn't realize that she'd been having the affair?
No.
Okay. I mean, she...
I asked her was she was having an affair multiple times. She said,
Mhm.
"I've never slept around on you. I've never slept around on you." And that's what she always
She's
said.
never admitted before?
Never admitted she ever slept around on me.
And then she hits you all at once with...
All at once, like, yeah, I've been having an affair with him, and I'm gonna take you to the cleaners. Exactly what
Basically. Is that what she said?
I'm gonna take you to the cleaners because the emails on from my lawyer
Mm-hmm.
that said that she had filed to get me removed from the house and start paying her alimony and child support. And I was like, where the hell you expect me to go?
Yeah.
I said, I have no family here, no friends really here except for Matt and Rachel next door. So what do you expect me to do? She said, that's your problem. And then she was smiling and laughing about it, and I lost it. So
What happened?
I just stabbed her in the throat.
Where was she at?
She was sitting on the bed.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then she was just,
Did she resist at all?
yeah, she put her hands up
Uh-huh.
one time. And then I think I stabbed her a second time, and then she just stopped.
Okay. Do you remember how many times you stabbed her?
It was 2 or 3 times, I think.
Okay. What'd you use?
I had a black knife that I carried with me everywhere.
What does it look like?
It's about this big. It has like a pneumatic button to push the blade out on it.
Like a stiletto, the old stiletto type that
Yeah.
the blade shoots out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then what happened?
So and then after that, I had realized what I did.
Uh-huh.
So I grabbed some trash bags.
Was she still alive at that point?
No.
How did you know?
Because she wasn't breathing. I knew she wasn't alive.
Okay, and it all happened on the bed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then what happened?
So I grabbed the trash bag and pulled it over so she wouldn't bleed out everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Was she bleeding a lot?
Yeah, she was
Okay.
from her throat. And I wrapped her up in some trash bags, but taped on it so she didn't bleed all over the place, and then put it in the trunk of my car.
Okay. The trash bags, are they just like huge industrial
Yeah,
bags?
industrial trash bags for
Did
lawn.
you already have them, or did you get them?
Yeah, I already had them for lawn maintenance and stuff.
Okay.
I already had them in the garage.
Yeah, your yard looks good.
So
Now, what did you use to secure it with?
I had some packing tape. I just wrapped packing tape around it so
Okay.
it wouldn't come apart.
Okay. Did you get bloody doing all this?
No, I didn't have any blood on me.
No, no?
I had blood on my hands. That was about it.
Okay. So, you got her wrapped up and taped up, and you said you put her in the trunk of the car?
Yes, sir.
Where was the car?
In the garage.
In the garage? And this was, what time do you think?
Probably about 9-ish.
Hmm.
Right around 9-ish.
How long did it take you to do all that?
I don't know. Probably a half hour at the most.
Did you, in the meantime, did you call anybody or talk to
I
anybody?
didn't talk to anybody after I had did it. I called my mom. I told my mom I said I'm in trouble.
Was this after you'd already wrapped her up and put her in the car?
Yes.
Okay.
I said, Mom, I'm in trouble. She said, what's going on? And I said, I just killed my wife. And my mom said, you sure she's dead? I said, yeah, she's dead, Mom. And then she said, have you called the police yet? And I was like, no, I haven't called. She said, you need to call the police.
Hmm.
And then I told my mom, I'm not going to call the police. I'm not going to call the police.
Hmm.
You know, I told my mom I was going to take these pills, and my mom kept begging me not to. She was just begging me not to. She said, God, I see you through this. Do not take these pills.
Yeah. What were they?
I had a bunch of Xanax and some Adarbacor.
What is it?
Xanax and Adarbacor.
Adabacor?
Yeah, it's for blood pressure. So, and then there were some other pills that Julie had
Mm-hmm.
in there also. So I just grabbed them all and just, after everything.
But between the time that you killed her and the time that you wrapped her up and put her in the trunk until the time that we got called, what happened during all that time?
I freaked out. I was like, I knew I was going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the bank and because nobody had access to my bank accounts, I withdrew all the money out of my accounts. And I went there, asked them how much money I had in my accounts, and they said, "You had this much." I said, "Give me a cashier's check for this amount." And
Did you close everything?
No, I didn't close the accounts. I just
You just withdrew?
I just withdrew the money from the accounts and the cashier's check in my mother-in-law's name in care of my son. So
For Jacob?
for Jacob.
Okay. And then what?
And then I drove out to the beach trying to figure out what to do. And then I called Rachel, my neighbor. She didn't answer the phone. I called Matt, her husband, and said, "Matt, I'm in trouble." He's like, "What's going on?" I said, "Man, I killed my wife." He's like, "No, you didn't." I said, "Yes, I did." And he said, "Okay, have you called the police yet?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, you know I got to call the police." I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he said, "I'm going to call the police." I said, "No problem." He said, "Where's Jacob?" I said, "I'm going to run up to the school and grab Jacob, but I need you to come home." And at the same time I was talking to him, his wife called me and said, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "I need you here right now to come get Jacob. I need somebody to watch Jacob." And she said, "I'm on my way." And then Matt called me back and said he's on his way. So I ran to the school real quick, checked Jacob out, brought him home. And he's like, "What's going on?" I said, "Daddy's going away." And he's like, "Why?" I said, I didn't tell him what was going on. I said, "I'm going away for a long time. I love you." Like that. And then I said, "Let me see if Matt's home yet." That's when I opened the door and I saw all the police officers down there. And I knew what you were down there for. And I told Jacob, I gave him his book bag. I said, "Go down there and see the police officers." And he's like, "Why, Daddy?" I said, "They need to talk to you. Just go down and see him. I'll be down there in a few." So I closed the door back. And then I opened the garage, backed the car out with her body in it, and then closed the garage back down. And then that's when Matt called me. Pastor Anthony was on the phone, and then I can hear one of the police officers on the phone as well. And at that time, I was just swallowing pills. I was just swallowing pills, and I think I talked for a few minutes, and the next thing I know, I collapsed, and then I got back up, and I heard the police officer say, "Try to get him to come outside and just turn himself in. His son wants to see him." And I said, "I'm not going to have my son see me this way." And then I just blacked out after that, and I think I fell and hit my eye on the counter. And that's the last thing I remember.
You don't remember coming out?
I don't know how y'all got in the house, nothing. I was just out cold.
Yeah. And the doctor, you got to the hospital. When was it that you started to actually regain consciousness and understand what was going on? The next day? Okay.
They were shouting eyes of mine. I came through, and they were like, "You know where you're at?" I was like, "No." I said, "You remember what happened?" I said, "No." So the last thing I remember, I was on the phone with the police, my pastor, and my next-door neighbor.
Yeah. You came home. Did you park it next door?
When I brought Jacob home, that's when I parked next door.
Okay.
So,
Is that because you anticipated bringing the car out?
I was anticipating bringing the car out, but also I wanted to make sure Matt, because I had some of Jacob's clothes in the car, I wanted to make sure they got Jacob some clothes. He had some clothes. Because I didn't know what time Diane then was coming home that night.
Okay.
I knew my mom and sister were also coming down. So I wanted to make sure he at least had some clothes to change into.
So you're looking out for him?
So, yes, sir.
Okay. When we went into the house, of course you had a beautiful collection of firearms. There was a handgun.
Glock 27.
Yeah. Sitting on the counter.
Yes, sir.
What was that there for?
I was thinking about blowing my brains out, but then I was like, I'm not going to shoot myself. I'm just going to take these pills.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I kept telling
Did you anticipate ever shooting it out with the police or anything?
No. That's why I kept telling the guys over the phone, "Don't come in the house. Don't come in the house. I don't want to hurt anybody."
Okay.
So.
Were you sincere in that?
Yes.
Okay.
I said, "I don't want to hurt anybody. Please don't try to enter the house." So.
Okay.
I respect the police. So
I appreciate that.
I didn't just something. I kept asking her, why do you want a divorce? Why do you want a divorce? And she would never tell me why she wanted a divorce. She kept saying, I'm cold inside. And I'm like, that's not a real answer. You're being cold inside. I said, because you already knew what Jennifer said. Jennifer says, when you go into a marriage, there's 4 phases of a marriage. You know, there's the lovey-dovey part, and then there's the I don't want to be with that person part, and then you get the feelings back for each other. And she said, we just need to start dating again, and you know, our feelings will come back for each other. Well, her feelings will come. I've never lost feelings for her at all. So I didn't think nothing of it. And then as the divorce proceedings were going on, she was telling me one thing, and my lawyer was telling me a different story. My lawyer's like, she's playing you for a fool. I said, what are you talking about? She said she's not being honest, or her lawyer's being awful aggressive because she's filing all this stuff against you. And I'm like, well, how can she file that? I said, we live together still. I said, I'm paying all the bills. We're still living in the same house. And she said, you guys not arguing now? I said, no. I said, we talk every single day. You know, it's like we're still married. And I said, I'm still trying to put my marriage together. And then that's when my lawyer sent me that final text from her lawyer that said there's no way. My client said that they're going to reconcile. And that's when I asked her about, I said, is this true? And she was like, no, I didn't say that. I just told my lawyer to put things on hold. And that's when I was like, well, okay, how you can tell your lawyer to put things on hold, and why is she filing this stuff on your behalf? I said, because they can't just file things on your behalf without you giving them permission to.
Yeah.
I said, either you're lying or your lawyer's being awful aggressive. She said, I swear to you, that's not me. I'm going to go see my lawyer tomorrow and talk to my lawyer about it tomorrow and put things on hold like I told her to put things on hold. And I believed her, you know. And then...
When was that?
That was Tuesday. And then Wednesday I said, hey, did you ever talk to your lawyer? She said, no, I didn't get a chance. She said, well, I'll try to call her tomorrow, but I think she's off tomorrow, but I'll get it handled, no problem, and get them to put a hold on all these things. I said, yeah. I said, because my lawyer's like, she's acting wrong or somebody's lying here.
Yeah.
In this instance, so... And then every day I kept asking her, please don't do this. Don't do this. Think about what you're doing. You know, Jacob don't need to be running from house to house. Just think about what you're doing. And it was a plea for me every day. You know, my son was the past year, my son's been living with me, staying in my bedroom. You know, and my wife asked Jacob, why are you sleeping with Daddy? He said, well, I don't want Daddy to be alone anymore. So, and that's why he was sleeping with me. He'd sleep with me. He'd just cuddle up with me and go to sleep. So I've been doing that for the past year with him. So he saw the hurt on my face. You know, he saw how hurt I was about this whole thing that's going on. So, and some of the text messages and stuff and metadata from her phone that was showing that she was trying to get another guy to go out of town overseas with her, because they usually go down to the Caribbean with her mom, and they were going to use a whole story of, oh, you're just an old friend from high school. So, but that was 4 or 5 years ago when I saw that. March of this year, I flew out to my best friend's wedding. In Colorado. He got married. I came back, and they picked me up from the airport, Tampa airport. Her stepmom and dad did, and Jacob. And Jacob said something was getting out. I was starting, going to, I think, Denny's. And Jacob said, Mommy, where's that other phone you had? And she's like, what are you talking about? You seeing things, Jacob? And I looked at her real funny. And she's like, your son got problems. But I didn't think nothing of it. So, up until a week ago, I got a video on my phone also. My camcorder, my Sony camcorder, my son likes playing with the night vision on it. And he had walked into her room. It was in the middle of daylight, but it was dark. And you can see that she had her legs up. She had one phone pressed up against her thigh and another phone in her leg. And Jacob was filming her, and she's trying to stuff it underneath her shirt, hide it. And I caught, and then when I walked in, I said, what were you doing? I said, were you texting somebody and playing with yourself? She was like, no. And then I said, you sure you wasn't playing with yourself? Because like to me, you're pulling your underwear up. I couldn't really tell at the time. And then she said, and then she finally said, yeah, that's what I was doing. I said, Julie, you've never done that before in your life. So she made it that lie that she was doing that. And then I took the camcorder.
But you could see it was the phone.
No, at the time I couldn't.
Uh-huh.
I took the camcorder and plugged it into my big computer,
Uh-huh.
Big 30-inch screen, and then I could see more of what was going on in the frame. It was, I'm like looking, I said, oh, she didn't pull out the wire because they were up as he walked into the door. I'm looking, I can see there's a light flat this way and there's a light underneath her shirt and she's trying to pull it down.
Okay.
Oh, and I was like, where's the phone at? I said, Julie, where's the phone? She said, what are you talking about? I said, the second phone right here, where's that phone at? I said, every day, because every day if she said she wasn't doing anything, please check her phone. Go ahead and check her phone.
Mm-hmm.
Because she had that other phone that I didn't know about. She told me she had sold it. I said, okay, where's the phone at? She said, well, I sold it. I said, what do you mean you sold it? She said, yeah, I sold it about 2 months ago. I said, who do you sell it to? I don't know. What app you use to sell it? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. You know, she automatically gets amnesia about it, you know.
Yeah.
And she sold the phone to try to get rid of it right before she served me with papers. So, because she knew if I had that phone, it had so much incriminating stuff on it.
The
I'd be able
phone
to
that
use
she had now, that you took that over to,
her mom's house.
okay. And did you delete anything up
I
there?
haven't touched it. I don't know the code to get into it.
Okay.
I don't know the code to get into it because when she went to New York a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
she switched from our Sprint plan where I was able to see everything going on to she jumped on her stepfather's plan through T-Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And then she changed her passwords and everything, so I haven't been able to get into her phone, see anything that she was doing, nothing.
Did you ever find that second phone?
No. She said she sold it, and then she called my son in the room, and she said, Jacob, you remember going up to T-Mobile? And Jacob was like, yeah. She's like, what did I sell the man at T-Mobile? And she said, well, I sold him. Jacob thought it was just a bunch of phone cases, because she had a bunch of phone cases for that phone, but she said she also sold the man the phone also.
Oh, okay. But you haven't seen another one?
I haven't seen another one.
Okay.
But I knew that was the phone that I had first got all that encrypted and off of it.
Now you saw this guy, John, right?
Yeah.
And you knew where he lived?
Yeah, I knew exactly where he lived. I knew where he lived was because I took a picture of his license plate,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to pull up an address on him. And at first I went home.
Is that on your phone too?
Yeah, it's one of the pictures on my phone.
Okay.
I Googled Earth his house. I went online and...
Did you ever go to his barbershop?
Nope, I went to his barbershop. I mean, because she told me, don't go over there and confront him about anything. We're just friends. And I believed her.
Mm-hmm.
So I never went and confronted him about anything. But...
You believed her or you wanted to believe her?
I wanted to believe her.
Okay.
I wanted to believe her. Yeah. So I went, that night I was on the computer at home. I put his name into all these different type of search engines and everything.
How do you spell his last name?
I don't know his last name. It's John something, but it's Heavy Hitters Barbershop. Heavy Hitters Barbershop. Because he's supposed to be the owner of that. So Heavy Hitters Barbershop in Mayport, Florida.
Where's it at?
I don't know.
Is it on Mayport Road?
I think it's on Mayport Road.
You never been there?
No, sir. And I mean, the way I found out his address was that one of the search engines, it's how it tells on people, their address and everything. And I looked, and I Googled the address, and I looked. I was like, well, hold on. 2 years ago, she was at this house.
Mm-hmm.
She was at this dude's house 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I asked her, I said, what were you doing 2 years ago? I said, where did John live, Julie? Please tell me where John lives. And she was like, well, he lives somewhere off of Kerner. I said, right here? The house you told me that it was vacant?
Yeah.
She's like, well, I didn't know he lived there. I said, really? You didn't know he lived there, by that vacant house? I said, go, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I said, whatever. I said, you're lying, or, I mean, you get amnesia. I mean, the problem is that talking to her, she shuts down real quick. If you start talking to her, she automatically shuts down on you and won't talk. She'll just sit there and
Won't face it.
Won't face it.
Won't talk about it.
Won't talk about nothing. Yeah.
And then she hits you with all that shit at once.
Yeah.
And she was laughing?
She laughed right in my face about it. She said, I'm going to take your house. She's gonna put you out your house. And then she said, also, since you work in Gainesville, the lawyer already said you have no chance of getting custody of Jacob. He's going to be mine, and you're going to be paying me child support because you have no chance of doing it, getting him. And that's when I just lost it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because she know how close I was with my son. You know, me and him are like this.
Oh, yeah. Everybody said that.
So, I mean, she knows how close.
And she was on the bed?
Yeah, she was sitting on the bed.
Did she? I know you guys had. You said you didn't really argue, but that day, I think you said the only time that she ever hit you was a few years ago.
18 years ago.
Yeah. Now, did she hit you that day after you guys were
No.
discussing? Nothing at all?
No.
Prior to the incident taking place?
No.
Okay.
We've never laid a hand on each other. I mean,
Okay.
we first met each other. She had just got out of a bad relationship. I had just got out of a bad relationship. And she basically was like, you know, we promised each other to always be there for each other and never cheat on each other, none of that. And I made that promise to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I offered a job to go to D.C. I wanted to become a police officer, and she wouldn't let me do any of it. I had to stay in Jacksonville because her mom are like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in Jacksonville, and I could never take a job out of town because she wouldn't go. You know, so I just learned to live with it. You know, so and then it's just, I mean, I don't even think I don't know if her mom's lying about it, that she knew what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
or she just didn't want to tell me what was going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
How was she dressed when it happened?
Julie, she has I think a short on and a tank top.
Okay.
And she had flip-flops.
Okay. And after you said you cut her throat, and then she started to fight back?
Well, I stabbed her first time, and she put her hand up, and then I think I stabbed her again,
Mm-hmm.
and then her hands just dropped.
Okay. And then what?
And then I just looked at her. And then I was just shaking, like, looking at the knife, just like this.
Had you already cut her throat at that point?
Yeah.
Okay. When you put her in the plastic, was it just her, or did you wrap everything else up with it?
No, it was just her, I think, in the plastic.
Okay. Just her
Yeah.
wrapped in the plastic?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You remember putting the pillow in there?
No, I don't remember putting a pillow in there.
Okay. All right. Or the sheets?
The sheets I threw away.
The sheets you threw away?
Yeah.
What did you do about the bed? Was there a mess?
Though I just pulled the sheets off. There was no mess, really. There was like one small blood stain on the bed, and I scrubbed it.
Okay. Did it come off?
And most of it came off.
Okay. What did you think about doing it? After you put her in the trunk, what was your thought?
It was panic, regret. Because, I mean, I was just, why did I do that? You know, regret that. I mean, because I knew if I wouldn't have had my knife on me or my gun on me at that time, nothing would have happened. We'd have just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, talked about it, you know, like normal.
Mm-hmm. You feel better after talking?
Yeah.
Takes the weight off of you, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. I just wish I had friends that were in town. None of my friends, Matt's the only friend I had that lives in town. Everybody else was different states away, and it's hard to talk to them.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen a lot of those guys up until the wedding. And I hadn't seen some of them for 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great to be with them. So, it's just, you know, I just wish I lived where they lived.
Mm-hmm.
And that way I had a constant shoulder to lean on.
Yeah.
In the end, Gerard didn't fight the charges. He didn't show emotion. He simply accepted what came next, like he had been waiting for it all along. No one saw it coming. Not the neighbors, not the family, not even her. A husband pushed past his limits, a marriage rotting in silence, and a confession that still echoes in the minds of those who heard it firsthand. "I just wanted it to stop," he said, but what he ended, others still live with. If you found this case disturbing, you're not alone. There are more stories like this, more confessions, more secrets, more lives changed forever. Subscribe for more BlueDot crime interrogation.